Hello everybody. Thank you so much for making time to join me again. Today's topic is rather an embarrassing health condition, but is common. Okay, very few people talk about it, and yet it affects quite a number of people. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll be so excited. So today's topic is stress incontinence. Okay, so first things first, what is incontinence? Incontinence, in simple terms, is the inability to control your urinary output. So now I must make mention that there are different types of incontinences. There's the urge or the fecal incontinence, there's the stress or urinary incontinence, there's also the functional incontinence, as well as the mixed incontinence. But for the purposes of this presentation today, we'll dwell more on stress incontinence, which is also known as urinary incontinence. So what is urinary incontinence? So urinary incontinence, like I earlier mentioned, is the inability to fully have control over your urinary output. And this can be seen in small leaks when you sneeze, cough, lift something heavy, walking, bending, laughing. All those could lead to some leaks of urine that you have no control over. Sometimes the loss of control could be so much that you have totally no control of your urine, it just comes out. So let's start it like this. The brain and the bladder are the highest controllers of your urinary output. So there are certain diseases and illnesses that affect the brain, causing it to have limitations in the way it effectively controls the urinary output. Also, the bladder could have some infections that reduce its effectiveness of controlling urinary output. So you wake up in the morning, you stretch, have your breakfast, maybe it's tea or some juice. During the day, you're thirsty, you drink some water, take some juice. That fluid is in the body, the kidneys will work on it, make it into urine, goes to be stored in the bladder, and now from the bladder, it's up to you and I to control whether we want to go to the toilet as yet, or we can hold on a little bit longer until we go to the toilet, until we find a toilet nearby. Okay, but then there are instances that the urine is in the bladder and you can't you can't keep the urine until you find a toilet. It just starts leaking, eventually just all comes out. It's quite an embarrassing health condition, I must say. Urinary incontinence is not just a medical condition because it affects an individual emotionally, it affects an individual psychologically, it affects their social life, and so they prefer to suffer in silence and talk less about it. Okay, for instance, you can have a social gathering, a family function, or church outing. You find that these people prefer just stay home or stay away from any form of gatherings because of fear of being discriminated, stigma. They'll prefer being near a place closer to the toilet, which is a bit of a challenge when you go out there in social gatherings. One might ask, what then can I do to prevent or reduce the risks of developing incontinence? The answer is simple. Maintain a healthy weight, maintain a healthy diet rich in fiber that helps reduce your constipation, reduce your smoking, reduce the alcohol and caffeine intake, as well as frequent performance of pelvic floor exercises. Those are going to help to strengthen your muscles of the pelvic floor. I must mention that urinary incontinence is most commonly seen in women, but it also can and does affect a large proportion of men too. Incontinence is also highly seen in old age, but can also be treated and managed. In as much as incontinence is a part of aging, it should not be seen as normal because we can do something about it. We can reduce the extent of the incontinence. The change in lifestyle begins now when we are still active, when we're still young, when we're still healthy. So if incontinence is left untreated, it can lead to other problems such as loss of sleep, anxiety, depression, and loss of interest in sexual activity. However, the good news is incontinence can be treated and managed. There's some medicine that is available. You can also see a physiotherapist who's going to use certain equipment to help control and strengthen your pelvic floor muscles. So do not suffer in silence. Reach out there. There's help out there only if you reach out. From me, thank you so much for joining me again. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.